All right, what is up, party people? It's Dan, your basement guitar superstar. I am here with Scott Schwertly. Did I pronounce that right, Scott?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, he is the CEO and mastermind behind Siren Pedals, and I'm holding his new pedal right here. It's called the Magnar. It comes out this Thursday, so make sure you look for it at sirenpedals.com. Scott, talk to me a little bit about kind of your musical background and how you got into pedal building and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually been an interesting route for me. So I actually picked up guitar when I was 16 and played for about a year and a half, put it down, and then revisited it in my 30s. Did kind of the same thing. I played for about a year or two and then put it down again. And then I reached kind of a point in my late 30s and 40s where I was able to start positioning my current job at that time. I was kind of able to kind of put it on really kind of on autopilot. And so it's been sort of doing its own thing. And it gave me the freedom and the flexibility to kind of re-examine some of my hobbies and kind of what I wanted to do sort of in chapter 2 of my life. And so lo and behold, I picked up the guitar again for a third time and really just said, this time if I'm going to do it, I'm going to stick with it. And kind of this third time around, it really started getting into the world of pedals. I actually never even purchased a pedal when I was 16. I didn't purchase a pedal in my early 30s. I really picked it up kind of in this last attempt, and really, as they say, the rest is history. So once I got my first pedal, then got my second and my third, and essentially just became obsessed with, I probably became more obsessed with pedals than I did guitar. And just thought, this is something I want to do. I've never really imagined myself as somebody that would, particularly with picking up guitar really kind of later in life. I never really imagined myself being that person that would, play in front of a big arena or a big auditorium or wherever it may be. But I still wanted to make a sort of a musical impact. And I felt like pedals was the way to do that without being sort of an aspiring musician. It's been a fun ride. So enjoying every day of it.
Awesome. So, and it sounds like, was I right in that video I did on the anvil? You kind of got started tail end of last year.
Correct. So I actually started, Siren, I believe in the summer of 2019. So it was just an idea. In fact, my wife and I were, she's got family in Kentucky, and we were just on a long road trip one Saturday afternoon. And I'm like, I'm really enjoying the guitar. I'm really enjoying pedals. I feel kind of called to do something. And really kind of the idea just started to unfold from there. Started thinking of, name ideas and what I wanted to do. And spent the next 6 to 7 months really just kind of with my head down doing research and just learning more about the industry. And and then by January of 2020, actually earlier this year, we launched with 3 pedals. And since then, we've launched another 2. And then, as you just mentioned, you showcased the Magnar there. That will be launching this week. So, so for our first year, we've launched with 6 pedals altogether. And it's hard to believe that we've come this far, given that this was just an idea, like a little over a year and a half ago. So,
right.
And the thing that's interesting, in full transparency, I actually, I mentioned I picked it up later in life. I actually bought my first guitar pedal in the fall of 2018. So if you do the math on that, first pedal purchase in fall of 2018, became obsessed with it. And then, 6-7 months later, I launched Siren. So it's been an incredible ride, and still learning a ton as I go. So I definitely don't have this whole thing mastered yet, but getting there.
Sure. So when you got your first pedal, were you like me, where you're like, oh, I have to take a screwdriver in here and open this up and see what it looks like? And
Oh yeah, I mean,
that?
Yeah, I definitely was curious to just see how it was structured. And one of the very first books I bought was the Brian Wampler book on how to modify guitar pedals, which is a great book, by the way, for anybody out there that has a heart for DIY type projects or pedals in general. Check that out. I mean, Brian Wampler's obviously, he knows what he's doing. That was one of the first books I picked up. And then, but this really just, where I got really fascinated was just, or sort of obsessed about it, was just the kind of just the makeup of pedals altogether, and just the contribution that pedals have made on music altogether. I mean, anything from, you think about like the Rolling Stones and Keith Richards and the maestro fuzz pedal,
Oh yeah.
that whole thing, and just like how that's really had its own personal stamp on, music history, or, John Mayer and Tube Screamers or Dumbles, all that stuff. Like that's the stuff that I really became obsessed about. And I just wanted to know all my favorite artists, people I've been listening to for decades, like how do they actually do that? And as I started to, pull back those layers and realize how many pedals have impacted all the things that we love today, songs, musicians, that's the thing that kind of blew my mind. And I just wanted to be a part of it in some way, whether it was small or large. I was definitely hooked.
Nice. And I love your Tone Magic series, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
That
Yeah.
you do on YouTube. Those have been really cool so far. I haven't watched the latest one because I have no idea who that guy is, but like all the rest of them, like the Morello one was off the hook. What was it, John Frusciante? You did him too.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
amazing. And I'm looking forward to Gavin Rossdale, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. That one's on my list. So, I mean, that's been fun, and that's been fun for me personally, just to, again, just to continue to expand my knowledge. As I'm very transparent about, I have been doing this for decades, like some people have. And so it forces me to kind of go in and explore and learn new things. And generally, most of those things are inspired by either something I'm working on, in my personal life. So Tom Morello, I know I kind of led with that one. And the reason I did is, I mean, he's really kind of the reason I've picked up the guitar each and every time. So I'm definitely inspired by his tone. And I actually have a signature Soul Power guitar, which has been fun. That's probably been one of my recent purchases, which I've enjoyed playing that. But
so
it's fun putting those together.
You design the circuits yourself, right?
Correct. So we actually have an engineer on contract that we work with. And back in the day, I was not only learning it myself, but then also looking for people that I can partner with. And so, so everything from engineering to design, pretty much everything kind of sort of is built here within my own brain. And then I kind of determine what I want to do. Like, for instance, like if you look at about our Juno pedal, I wanted to have a blues breaker. And so I worked with our engineer to get that done, worked with our illustrator to get the artwork for that. And then, just like any boutique pedal company, we're looking to, take something and then approve upon it by adding different mods and things of that nature. So these are all kind of just the end result of my own creativity, or things that I want, or things that I want on my board that maybe I can't find. It's fun going through this whole process.
And let me grab my Aravata here because I want to showcase this. Because one of the things, Scott, that I have the anvil with me too. For those of you watching this, one of the things I love about your pedals is these little clip switches.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that on anything other than like that Big Muff Pie, that mint green one that came out. And those changed the tone on these dramatically. And I'm like, how the heck does he do that? That's amazing.
Yeah, for certain. Yeah. I mean, that's just another feature that we like to add. And it's a good way to, easily make a modification to something that's, out there, and obviously changing values on certain things. I'm glad to hear that you like that. I know for the Aravata, that's actually one of my favorite features about that pedal, is that you can kind of go into those different modes, which is fun. So, the big goal for that pedal was I kind of wanted to have sort of that tight distortion as an option, but then also kind of that open distortion as another option. So hence that's that feature that we added there. So so that's
well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's I mean, it's probably not as much of a tank like a Boss pedal, but I mean, it's definitely in the same vein of any Wampler, Walrus, Earthquaker pedal that you'll find.
And the thing I compare it to, and I think I mentioned this in the preview video I did of it, is it kind of to me, it's somewhere in between like a Proco Rat and a DS1 and like a Dog Grunge, all kind of thrown in the same mix, only it clips better than the three of those, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely inspired by the original Rat circuit. So again, with just mods and improvements on that front. And then that switch, coincidentally, I'm glad that you brought that up, because when I was basically doing my pedal hunting, particularly with the Aravada, I actually had a TC Electronic Dark Matter, and then I had a Boss DS1, and I loved both. But then you're dealing with two different pedals, and so I've always looked at the DS1. Obviously DS1 makes me think of like Nirvana, makes me think of even
Right.
John Frusciante, very much that tighter distortion. And then I look at the TC Electronic Dark Matter as more of that open distortion. And so the goal here was really just to kind of take the best of both worlds and put it all into one circuit. And that's really what you get with the Aravada. It's that Rat inspired with that, tightness and openness, at your disposal there.
Well, in my opinion, you definitely nailed it on that one.
Oh, thanks.
So, no, seriously,
Yeah.
man. Like, I love every pedal I've bought of yours so far. The one that especially surprised me though was the Anvil, because normally I'm not a huge fan of compressors, and it's like, well, it's got that clipping switch on it, and I liked the short preview video that was done on it. Plus, this guy that I can't remember the name, but he plays in this really ambient band that does like this spacey music, and he had a video of it, and I'm like, God, that really sounds good. Like, I need to try that. So I took a chance on it, and it blew me away. I mean, obviously you saw the video. I give it a 9.2 out of 10. So
Yeah. The compressors are kind of the same thing for me as well. Like when I first started getting into this whole space, I was kind of skeptic as well. But as soon as I got one, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of addictive, and it's tempting to always have it on because it just improves your tone by so much." And yeah, I love the Anvil. A lot of people, speak very highly of the Anvil. It's a great compressor to have, and I'm glad that I was able to. That was actually one of the reasons I had that as one of the first three, is because I've always been an advocate for compressors ever since buying one. In fact, even on our YouTube channel, I think you've seen it, Dan. I've got a video on why every guitarist needs a compressor pedal. It's just adds so much value to your tone. So it's kind of just a sleeping giant, I guess.
Sure. And how's the reception been for you guys so far?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, this is definitely a saturated space for sure. I mean, there are a lot of guitar pedal companies out there. So it's definitely been competitive and learning a ton as we go through it. But I would say overall, the reception's been great. I mean, I feel like, particularly like on Instagram, which we're pretty active, I mean, I feel like we get nothing but love, on that medium. YouTube too, as well, for being a young channel. I feel like we're getting a lot of, we don't have a ton of subscribers yet, but we have just a lot of positive feedback. So it's been good. So I'm always looking to improve and, change things where needed. So I know definitely for all these pedals, there'll be a version 2 down the road. So It's been good to get people's feedback on what they like and don't like. But I'd say overall, the feedback has been really warm and really positive. And it makes me very optimistic about the future. And, I'm in this for the long run. I mean, this is something I take very seriously, and hoping to stick with it for as long as people will have Siren. So it's been a good time.
Awesome. What's been your biggest struggle so far, do you think?
I think, with this space, because it is so saturated, I think my biggest struggle right now is really just, getting the word out. So I know we've got, not only great looking pedals, but they're pedals that, sound amazing. And, so it's just a matter of, but I don't think a lot of people know about us yet. And again, it's just one of those things of breaking through the noise and the clutter. And, I'm fortunate that I even have this opportunity to do it, where, I've got the resources to continue to push forward. And, but yeah, I think that the big thing now is just pushing through the noise and, hopefully one of these days becoming a household name and, being in the mix of conversations with the Wamplers and the Earthquakers. And
I wish my channel was a little bigger, because then I'd be able to help you out with that a little more. I
appreciate all your support.
My pleasure. I appreciate you doing this. I mean, I only have like 18 subs, so you could have been like, no, dude, screw you. But you're totally awesome about it. So, the way I found out about you was actually through Ryan Lendt.
Yeah.
I know he has about 60,000 subs. Have you had, besides him and like Harry and a guitar, have you had anybody else that you're trying to connect with in that realm?
Yeah.
I think soon.
Yeah, there are a few people that we've reached out to. I know, like in the early days, being like a year ago, I had a pretty good relationship with Jay Leonard J. So I know he did a couple demos and videos for us, which is fun, and still have a relationship with him. We just haven't used him to do much lately. But yeah, there's been several of other players out there. Obviously there's a list of, major YouTube influencers that I'd love to get on their radar, and maybe we are, maybe we're not, I'm not sure, but definitely some that I'd like to add to the mix. But yeah, I mean, Ryan, he's such a great guy, and again, being someone who's very transparent at not being sort of this masterful guitar player, because I'm not. Definitely more of a pedal builder before a guitar player. I've been a big fan of his channel and love the stuff that he covers. I know we have similar tastes in styles and genres. So, I mean, he's covering all the heavier stuff and things from my era. I mean, I think he's a huge fan of Pearl Jam and Audio Slave, and that's the stuff I grew up with. So I've always was a fan of Ryan. So I just reached out and, forged that relationship. So yeah, glad to hear that you obviously found your way through his channel.
Yep, and then I bought the Aravada based on Harry and the Guitars review of that too. So
yeah,
kind of
and Harry puts out some great stuff.
So which circuit do you think you're most proud of so far that you've done?
Let's see. I would probably say it's kind of a toss right now between the Aravada, which we discussed, and then this new one that's coming out this week, which is the Magnar. So the thing that makes me excited about the Aravada is it's kind of everything that I wanted in a distortion pedal, and happy that I was able to actually bring that to life and see that actually now in the marketplace. But this Magnar is really fun because thinking about that Gorilla TC35 amp, which is the thing that has inspired the circuit, according to my knowledge, there isn't really anything out there right now that does that. So, I mean, there's a ton of amp in a box type pedals. I think of, I love, again, Tom Morello. So I love like the Marshall JCM 800, but
right.
You can get that in a JHS Angry Charlie. You can get that in other, variations. And there's just a ton of pedals, amp in a boxes related to that, or like the Marshall Silver Jubilee, if you like that John Frusciante sound. There are plenty of pedals that capture that tone. But that Gorilla TC35, from the 80s that people like, the Queens of the Stone Age, bands like that, sort of, have used in the studio and whatnot. It's very, very niche. But with that said, there's nobody else, at least I haven't seen anything else like it. So
and I haven't either, and I make a point to seek out new stuff. So
yeah, so that fact alone makes me really excited about it. That I feel like it's great to actually, instead of doing like a typical clone with mods, sort of approach, it's fun to actually put something out there that is truly a nice contribution to this community, and hopefully will bring a lot of fun for people that are chasing that tone.
Yeah, and you seen your Instagram post where you said you took inspiration from the TC35 actually makes me want to go buy one now so I can try it out, because I don't know that I've ever heard one of those before.
Yeah, I mean, it was really just a small, inexpensive amp that some people just fell in love with, and then the whole dream here is like if you take that tone and then amp it up to a bigger level, which you can do by taking that pedal and then obviously plugging in something much larger, it kind of opens up this whole other sonic universe. So I'll be curious to see how it gets received by the public, and I've seen a couple comments on our demo video that we released, and that was our first kind of showcase of what that actually sounds like. And yeah, it seems like a lot of people are excited and anxious to see what it's all about.
Yeah, and I definitely am too. My video for it's probably going to be about 20 to 25 minutes if you include the unboxing. So hopefully that's not too long.
Nice.
But
awesome. Well, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So kind of walk me through what we can expect from you in 2021, and then kind of what your 5 year to 10-year plan is with this.
Yeah, I mean, definitely looking to just continue to get our name out there and, try to get more pedals in people's hands. I definitely would love to do a signature pedal sometime in the months ahead. So just, maybe partnering with the right artist. And we do kind of lean towards that heavier sound, I guess, again, with a distortion pedal, a fuzz pedal, 2 overdrives. So it'd be nice to kind of align ourselves with, an artist on that front. So kind of exploring those things now. And then we have not even entered into the world of delay and reverb and modulation. So I think it'd be fantastic next year if we could put out a delay pedal or a reverb pedal but then you start to get into a whole different space with, DSP type technology. So I'm just trying to kind of, observe things, see how we're getting absorbed by the market. And when the time's right, I would love to just add that to the mix and kind of get into that space a little bit. So
now, do you have a design that you're set on after the Magnar, or have you not thought that far ahead yet?
There are certain pedals that I love and adore that I would love to see some variation of it in a Siren format. In fact, I think it's this week, our podcast episode. So we have a podcast called the Sonic Renegades, where we cover a new pedal every week. So I think the one that releases this Thursday, I think I'm correct in saying this, is the Line 6 DL4 delay pedal, which,
That's that green one, right?
Yeah, the thing that's just ginormous.
Yeah,
Folks, yeah, that thing is amazing. And so people like Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, John Frusciante from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they all have used that pedal. And I love it. So, I've got that pedal. I've got the Boss DD500. I've got the Strymon Timeline. So, thinking about big box delay, like I've seen them all. I think the only one I don't have is, I think, the one from Empress. But yeah, that Line 6 one holds a special place in my heart. There's just something really warm about it. So, on my radar, like I'd love to do something in that vein. More planning and strategizing that needs to be done. But there are definitely pedals that inspire me that will ultimately, hopefully inspire a Siren rendition of it. So, but we'll see. That's the goal for 2021.
Nice. You think you'll do NAMM next year if assuming that they hold it?
Well, yeah. So we were actually scheduled to be at NAMM in the summer, just because it's here in our hometown here of Nashville. But that obviously got canceled, and then they actually canceled it for January of next year. That. So yeah. So I'm hoping if they somehow get the summer one going and they stick with Nashville, that's definitely on the radar. So I was really, really optimistic about being at that this year, just because it would be just perfect timing for launching the company. Being only 6 months old at that time, but obviously 2020 has been 2020. So just, plan for next year.
Sure. Where do you feel like you've had the most success specifically? I know you said Aravada sold well for you. What else do you think's gone really well that maybe you didn't expect?
Yeah. So the Midnight Train, our fuzz pedal, has actually done pretty well. In fact, I would think it and the Aravada have probably, moved the most units. The Anvil compressor has done kind of like a compressor. People either love them or they hate them. So that one hasn't moved quite as aggressively as some of the others. I'm trying to think.
And the Midnight Train's my favorite pedal you've done so far. So.
Yeah, I love that one, and I love fuzz, and so that one definitely has a special place in my heart. And then the Oligos, which is our kind of Boss HM2 inspired type pedal, that definitely has. It hasn't sold a ton, but those that have picked it up with that specific need or want have raved about it. So it's been a delight just to see people's response to that one, because it does fit that specific heavy metal sort of niche. So yeah, definitely the Aravada Midnight Train have just been fun to kind of find their own place. And I'm super excited, as we've already mentioned, I'm super excited about the Magnar. Again, I think that's going to be a nice footprint in this space where it's going to be, unique and different and kind of, Siren's own, nice contribution to this community.
Oh, sure. So what's your Grail effects pedal? Do you own it already or is it something you haven't bought yet?
Oh, let's see. I don't know. There's so many out there that I want right now. There are too many to count. In fact, I have a running list of pedals that I want, mainly for my own personal enjoyment, but also for the podcast. Gets expensive trying to, purchase pedals, that are, something we haven't covered yet on the podcast.
Right.
But yeah, like right now, like some low hanging fruit, I've got like a Strymon Timeline. I've got a Strymon Big Sky. I am missing the Mobius, so I need to pick one of those up. The Cali 76 compressor has been on my radar for quite some time. And even simple pedals like a Boss Blues Driver. Like I really want one of those. I just haven't pulled the trigger on getting that. So I know a lot of famous musicians rave about it. I just haven't picked one up. So
Do you think
But yeah, they're
you'll ever get into like the really weird kind of boutique, like, hey, pedal's fun to play around with, but it's really not practical? Like, for instance, I love, and disclaimer with this for people that are watching this, I love Earthquaker devices, but like the Rainbow Machine, that pedal is insane. Like, do you think
yeah.
you'll ever get into doing stuff like that?
That's a great question. So my colleague, Eric Wilson, who I host a podcast with, and he helps build a lot of the pedals that we're doing. So if somebody owns a Siren pedal like you, Dan, Eric's probably the guy that was actually there with the soldering iron and putting it together. But he loves that stuff. Like, he loves Chase Bliss. He loves Maris, all those big brands that, do those really, really boutique-y stuff. And, I like it. I appreciate it. But, when I look at kind of the roots of Siren, I guess I'm probably more vanilla. When I created this company, I wanted to be like a Wampler or a Walrus, or a JHS. That's kind of the playground that I want to play in. Doesn't mean I would rule those things out. Again, I definitely have an appreciation for them, but I guess I'm probably more mainstream, maybe mainstream, but maybe with a little bit of a slant towards the sort of heavier rock stuff, just because that's the stuff that I love. Yeah. So that'd be my 2 cents on that.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm kind of like you. I started playing guitar at 18, and I've played on and off consistently up until about this year. So, I mean, that's been one of the positives with the pandemic. My wife might disagree with me because I've bought like 8 guitars this year that I didn't own prior. And then I started getting hardcore into pedals. Like, I had some already, but then like I've played literally every day since like April 1st.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah. So I'm starting to get back into it and doing the YouTube thing now. And, my niche is like, I'm a very average guitarist. And I feel like there's not enough channels out there that cater to guys like me that are just basement hobbyists, so I figure if I could fill that niche, maybe it'll, boost my numbers a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. I think I'm really enthused that you started it, and hat tip to you for actually doing it. Cause I think with things like YouTube, the hardest thing is, just starting.
Right.
So I think you got past the biggest hurdle, but you're right. I mean, thinking about all the YouTube channels that I subscribe to and that I watch, it's either like, somebody who's just doing like a time lapse of how they've improved over the last year or two, or you get like people who are super experts, and there's just no way you're going to compete with that. So, I think there's a lot of space, as you have mentioned, just in that middle ground, beginner, intermediate. I just feel like there's a huge opportunity there. There's not enough voices
Right.
in that area.
Really, the only
So
one I know that's that big is, do you watch 60 Cycle Hum?
yeah.
Ryan Burke is really the only one I know that's kind of he's obviously a better guitarist than I am. Like, I don't want to call him average, but he'll say like he'll say he's not that good of a guitarist. So it's like, dude, you're pretty good for
Yeah.
what you're thinking or whatever. But anyway, Scott, I don't have any more questions for you. I appreciate you humoring me again. And it sounds like you guys have some good things in the works, and I'm excited for you. I'll probably do a video at some point where I just build a Siren pedal board with the 4 pedals I have so far.
Oh, that'd be fun.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to digging into this. I'm going to take it home and play it in my basement and annoy my wife tonight, and then do the actual video of it tomorrow here at the office. So that'll be fun.
Nice. Well, I'm excited to hear your feedback, and glad you're able to pick one up. And I hope you have a ton of fun with it. I do have one question for you. Since you bought 8 guitars this year, or I'm sure you have way more than that as well. What's your number one? Because I know you've got kind of your own specific taste. What's the guitar that you pick up most of the time?
I'll show you actually. Well, it'll be most of the time. Disclaimer, I just bought this. So let me show you here. So this is a vintage brand V100 Les Paul style guitar. Nice. Have you played a vintage at all?
Not a ton. A little bit, but yeah, not a ton.
Okay, I really love the Wilkinson hardware and pickups on them. I think they sound amazing, but I got that one. I have a kind of their version of the Black Beauty on order. And then by some literal act of God, I was able to find they put out a 25th anniversary edition silver burst of a
Nice.
Telly, a Strat, and a Les Paul. And they made 100 of each. And by some literal act of God, I found one at a shop in Malta that's willing to ship to the US. So I bought it. I'm like, I have to have this.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
Exciting stuff. Yeah, I guess the chase never ends, right? So
Which one do you pick up the most? I see a couple hanging behind you there.
yeah, so I would say I'm kind of a self-professed Strat guy, but I actually just picked up one of these new Tellys, the Fender American Professional 2.
Oh,
I
nice.
just picked up a Telly, and I don't know, it's been my go-to guitar for the last maybe 2 weeks, and I'm slowly becoming a Telecaster guy, where I've forever, have always picked up a Strat. That's always been my go-to. I do love a Les Paul. I probably don't pick it up as often as I do my Strat, but I don't know. Again, this Telly, like I haven't touched my Strat over the last couple weeks, so it's making me think, well, hey, maybe I am a Telecaster guy. I don't know.
Which
So,
color did you get?
the color, I got the Dark Knight one.
Oh, dude,
So,
those are so amazing.
yeah, it's this one right here is just the back of it, but yeah,
Okay.
it's fun. It's I saw it. I'm like, I have to have one, so I went for it.
Nice. Nice. Oh man, well, I don't have anything else for you. Thank you so much again for joining me. And for those of you watching this, I will post a link to Siren Pedals website in the comments below, specifically to this pedal right here, where you guys could pick it up. They are right at $199, right, Scott?
Yep, that's correct.
And worth every penny. I own 3 of them so far, and they're awesome. So make sure you pick these up. And yeah, as always, thanks for joining.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate you having me.
Hey, thanks for